Maybe you could help me with this, David, because I know you and Coach were on a Zoom yesterday because he had sent you these questions, and I know he's ultimately trying to pick the brains of some of the people that he sees as successful and some of the people that he wants to emulate. And so he sent me this email, I think he sent it to Eric, and I thought, man, what a great idea. And I told him, I was like, hey, can we go through these questions on this Momentum Monday call and just use this as our training, right? And maybe you could add some context to it, David, since you already spoke with him yesterday. But I thought, what a great way to kind of almost just go through this as a Q&A for today.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think the one thing it did was it made me think, right? I mean, I stopped. I kind of actually thought these are very impactful questions that I believe, in my opinion, maybe even some that I didn't think about, right? Because we had talked about what kind of question could be impactful, and these are ones he chose. And I mean, it was a great meeting. It was honestly one of the few things that made me think in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Period.
Well,
So
dude,
it
I,
was interesting for sure.
I was kind of honestly preparing for this because there's like, I don't know what there is. There's 13 questions. And I spent a couple hours Sunday night just kind of in silence going through this stuff. Like, it's funny, right? Like it's a double-edged sword of like, man, if you could have done things different, what would you do different? Well, it's like, the failures are our greatest teachers, and I don't think we can get to the successes without the failures. But sure, from a strategy standpoint and stuff like that, there's definitely some things that could have been done differently. But I don't know, Eric, are you down to like maybe tag team some of these questions, or I thought it'd be good to just go through this maybe one by one and
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, for time purposes, we probably got to get going. I just wanted to kind of just, circle back on, it's not often that someone actually does this type. I mean, this is the most resourceful thing that you can do. We always talk about, we talk about who's doing the best, and like obviously there's leaderboards, and back in the day, 11 years ago when I started, like there was no system, that none of this stuff was put together. I had to call people that were doing things better than me, and I just had to copy them. So by being intentional about this, I mean, you got 400 active agents in the company that'll pick up your phone call at any given point, and the top 10% of them will tell you exactly what they're doing to be successful. And I don't think enough people are doing that. I know my phone's not blowing up, so let's hit it.
yeah, let's do it. And I agree. So, question number one, was there a turning point, a breakthrough moment that significantly accelerated your business and growth? And I thought about it, and I really couldn't think of any one moment. I don't know if you had one, Eric, but like, again, I think the mindset of probably for me, the first 2 years was just survival. When I came over 10 years ago, it was literally survival. And and I think once I was able to get some breathing room and started to treat this business like a business and make decisions like a business owner is when things happen. But like there wasn't a big moment, but what I will say is like for the first 5 years of me starting my business, I didn't make a single big purchase. I reinvested everything into myself and I continued to invest in myself. The biggest purchase I made was 4 years into my career with AF, and I bought a new home. And again, I didn't go crazy extravagant on things like that because I was still focused on like building a very solid foundation. So I don't know if you had a different answer or idea, Creek.
I mean, mine comes from the sales side. It's, it went from the idea of, again, the way we teach, talking about assets, where when you call a carrier, you're not selling or selling people out of the current plan they're in. You focus it on the purpose of the money is the purpose of the call. And that took my average size transfer from 30,000 to over 100,000. So I think, on the sales front, that was probably the most pivotal time where I went from, making $150,000 a year to $200,000-300,000 a year.
Beautiful. I'll let you start this one. What aspect of your business model do you believe has been the most critical to your success?
I mean, it's structure. I mean, if you're not organized, this thing doesn't work. If you're not, and if you claim not to be organized, you better fucking get organized. Like, that's just the bottom line. You can't outsource being organized. I'm sorry. If you're in sales, which most salespeople are not organized, you will be an average salesperson. If you want to be above average, figure out how to be organized. There's books on it. There's classes on it. There's tools out there. Hands down, all the money is made in the follow-up and the follow-through.
That was literally my answer, and you've probably been one of my greatest allies with that. But I had just wrote notes down of like establishing systems and processes and turning a human emotional business into a more consistent and predictable business. Easier said than done, but it took me many years to figure that out. And that's when things become a lot less stressful and anxious and just more systematic and predictable, which I think is what we all want, at least out of our business, right? All right, number 3, how do you differentiate yourself from competitors in the financial industry? So I took this from a recruiting standpoint, and the way that I differentiate myself is I flat out don't want everybody. And I'm really specific and critical on who I hire and who I choose to work with. But from a value proposition, knowing what I know about the industry, being in it for 24 years, like, again, I joined Appreciation to make a business. 95% of this industry is, here's what's crazy, guys. 95% of this industry is self-employed, which means they woke up January 1, not having anything in their bank account to show for it, and having in their mind, man, I got to do this all over again. And I don't want anybody, please don't take this egotistical or anything like that, but like, some of us, many of us on this call woke up this year, me included, knowing that I got hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars coming in. And that's the value of having a business, right? And I think that's one of the biggest differentiators that we have compared to everything else going on in this industry. Very few people in this industry actually own a predictable business. So I look at it as we're focused on building businesses while the rest of the industry is self-employed and just very transactional. Okay. Above and beyond that, I think trainings and support have never been more important than ever. Almost darn near every person I talk to right now that's interested in coming to work for us, that's their number one gripe. They're like, yeah, I joined this company. They sent me to a website to like learn these scripts, and like my mentor is 3,000 miles away. Like it just doesn't work, right? It just doesn't work. And then the last one, and this is something that we're working on building day in, day out, is just making sure that we have the right culture, the right community, the right values, and the right high standards, because that is very hard to find in this industry. So I don't know if you wanted to approach from a sales perspective, Creek.
Yeah, because I mean, I think honestly, that's what he was asking. If you were to look at the question, it's what makes you different, not necessarily AF different. So I think of, financial advisors or financial services agents, all kind of the same, right? So like, how do you differentiate yourself from the like, you walk on campus, there's an AXA rep, or there's a VALIC rep, or there's a Fidelity rep, or there's another NLG rep. Like, how do you differentiate yourself? And that would be 2 things. One is having really, really, really great questions that you ask your client. And most of those I learned personally from Van Mueller, which again is all part of our system. We've got all of his audio recordings. You can go on YouTube. You can subscribe to his newsletter. He's always got updated questions that he sends out. So asking way better questions than every other person, and then also understanding taxes. Everyone, there's two things in life, right? Everyone's gonna die and everyone's gonna pay taxes. If you understand taxes, especially as an insurance only agent, this will separate you from 99% of the people. And again, taxes, especially when it comes to our, niche, is super important because most teachers have a lot of untaxed income that they're going to pay taxes on in retirement. And if we can get that as close to zero as possible, it doesn't matter how much they make during their working years and how much that money grows to. It matters how much they're going to keep in retirement and how much they're going to give to Uncle Sam. So the more you understand that, the more different you're going to be than the rest of the people on campus.
Beautiful. Number 4, are there specific services or niches you focus on that have proven particularly lucrative or impactful? I wasn't really sure how to answer this, but like I love the fact that I got fully licensed as an advisor, right? I think that is an important component if you're really focused on building a long-term business. And then I've always been a big believer in life insurance. So before I came into appreciation, I've been selling life insurance for 14 years. So life insurance was always something that I've been passionate about. And so I feel like I was able to successfully bring that into our business, which is, predominantly more, annuities based. And then above and beyond that, I mean, he uses the word niches. And I just think it's also important just to recognize that we are in a very specific niche. I sometimes I hear agents talk about, well, hey, what about working with firefighters or these charter private schools and stuff like that? And it's just been of my opinion. It's like, why go to another pond where we're not really sure where the fish are, where 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 I'm fishing right now, I know exactly where they are. I know the bait that gets them hooked, and I know how to bring up fish consistently every single day. So it's like staying in my lane and staying in my niche.
Yeah. So again, because we have so many people that literally we can work with, whether you're in an area with extreme access or not, there's still a ton of people that have a pension. There's a ton of people that don't have a financial advisor. There's a ton of people that aren't in the top 1%. So getting in front of people, shouldn't be where you're focused. Your focus should be literally on your craft. And I think when it comes to, where you find your niche, if you will, it's getting in front of the right people that need your help, right? Not just the lunch lady that, knows she needs to save $50 a month. I mean, yes, that's nice. You need to help them. And yes, that's mailbox money. But as you get better, you've got to be able to get really good at referrals, and specifically referrals with money. Literally, I would be on campus asking, hey, who drives the nicest car in the parking lot? Can you introduce me to them? Or if the spouse had a job and they made more or the same or whatever, I would always get in front of the spouse. If you're not getting in front of at least 50% of the people that are married spouse, you're missing on literally double the income. So getting in front of the spouse and getting really good at referrals with money, like every single administrator, usually like as a newer agent, you're kind of scared to meet with the administrator. I think most people are. But if you can just focus on those higher income earning teachers and getting in front of the spouse, then your case size deals obviously are going to be much bigger. So, I would say within our niche, there's also a niche, and that's a niche of the top 10% of the public employees or the people you want to meet with.
Yep, love it. What systems or tools have you implemented to streamline operations and ensure consistency? Well, Eric will be a much better person to talk to this because he's really been my mentor when it comes to creating systems and processes and structure because it just kind of honestly was a little foreign to me. But hiring an executive assistant, building out our own CRM, and then again, because I sucked at it years ago, partnering with Eric so that I could be around somebody who was really good at it. But it even started early on. When we opened our office in Sacramento, we hired an assistant who was unlicensed at the time to handle a lot of our busy work. And it was a really good learning lesson for us because for whatever it was 10 years ago, for a nominally very inexpensive price, I can't even remember what we were paying her. I think it was like $15 an hour. She spent 20 hours a week setting up marketing events for me and my team. So think about having a human being that I'm spending whatever that is, 300 and some odd dollars a week on, that's literally spending 20 hours a week going out visiting schools, not just to set luncheons and staff meetings, but like be a part of the school events and stuff. Like it literally paid for itself within 60 days. And so sometimes, sometimes we mistake expenses for investments. And the longer I get in this business, the more I'm realizing and still needing to get a lot better at investing, actually investing in systems, structure, and operations.
So starting with, the rudimentary stuff, if you're not working off of a daily list, start. Literally a written list, not on your phone, not in some like whatever weird app, literally a written list. I have an iPad. I used to have, yeah, exactly, Ben. I used to have legal pads, and then I realized I was literally killing probably a fourth of the redwood forest. And it's a lot easier to keep things on an iPad because you can share it easy and you can do recordings and all of that stuff. But I'm writing. My point is don't type, write a written list. I typically will write out my entire week, and then I'll focus on 2 days. So how that looks is I'll list off all of the things that I need to get done, and I split them into two. So I say things I need to get done, and then I should get done today. And as I complete them, I scratch them off. Right now, I've also got, let's say today's Monday. So I got my Monday literally sitting in front of me right here. And then I also have Tuesday written out, all the things I need to do there. And then I also have another way of tracking. And again, I can share this and have trainings on this already, but I have Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So 4 more days out. So literally 6 days I'm working with, but 2 days that are detailed. And as I think of things that need to get done on Wednesday or Friday, I just add them to my short list. And then as I'm done with my Monday, anything that's left on my list goes over to Tuesday. So that way everything on my list gets at least done or dispositioned to the next day. And then I change my Monday to now Wednesday. So now I have Tuesday and Wednesday I'm working with. Follow. So then obviously I update my list of 4. Now it's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So it's always moving that way, and it's always backed up by my calendar, meaning I time block everything that needs to get done. When I look at my list, it should be backed up by my calendar, meaning they're not conflicting each other. Things that I need to get done, I have time on my calendar to get them done. And then lastly, this is something for all of you to do that I've got Joe and Brian doing this week. And if Nathan Snar was on right now, he would tell you it changed his career, is take inventory for 1 full week. Today's Monday. It's only a couple hours into the work week, so you can start today. Take a list, and literally everything from waking up and taking a pee all the way until when you're going to sleep, everything in between that you do for 1 full week, write it all out. Client appointments, paperwork, calls with your agents, calls on the carriers, calls with you, all of it, guys. Every single day for 5 days. Okay? As much detail as you can, as long as it takes you, and then go back and you take an inventory of where are you spending most of your time. I guarantee you most of your time, 75% of it you're doing that is not either A, revenue generating, or B, not worth the hour of your time you're putting into it. Okay. So what you're able to do with that is you can now identify things that you can either A, eliminate, B, delegate, or C, hire out. Right. And if you say you're trying to build a base shop and a team and a business, but 99% of your time is with clients and not on recruiting calls or developing other people, then maybe we need to either adjust the goal or we need to adjust the activity. Right. So I think that's a good way to kind of have a clean slate. And then again, this is the beginning of building many systems, but you can't do it without this foundation.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Right on. What role does your team have in your success, and how do you approach hiring and developing talent? Well, the beautiful thing about our business is like if you're leading and working with other people, we don't make money until our team makes money. And I've always loved that about our industry, or at least specifically our company. I mean, I know there's some other companies out there like, you know, multi-level or lead generating companies where they make money other ways, but like we literally don't make money. I don't make money unless my team makes money. So I try to surround myself with the right people, and then I do my best to hire culturally and value and with an alignment of values, because we can teach skill. We don't really need talent, right? Is somebody coachable? We always talk about this. Somebody coachable, accountable, hardworking. Do they have high integrity and high standards? Here's the deal. You're never going to meet somebody in an interview chair where you ask them questions and they say things like, you know what? I'm kind of lazy. I'm not really the hardest worker. You know what? I make promises, but only keep probably like half of them. Right? Like I wish it was that easy, but it's not. So we can't test, we can't interview for that stuff. And we're only going to figure those things out within the first 30 days of somebody working with us. And it's real simple. We just watch their actions. And so when I'm working with somebody brand new and I'm very open with them and honest and upfront with them about this, it's like, I'll give you everything I got. I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it for you, but I'm going to do it with you, right? So it's kind of like the premise of like you take one step forward, I'll take one step right there alongside with you, and that's kind of how I like to do it, relative to hiring and developing talent. Because at the end of the day, and like I've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on sales assessment tests and all those fancy things, technology. Nothing could measure the size of somebody's heart, their hunger, and a lot of these intangible things. Like I use Eric's mom, Susan, as a really good example, because whatever it was 10 years ago, if she would have like done a sales assessment test and an official interview and stuff like that, I'm sure she probably would have failed, or at least been so discouraged, right? That test would have probably told her no. And that might have permitted her from taking this giant leap of faith that she did. And then you look at her and the rest is history, right? So it's like never judge somebody, but we can judge their actions.
Yeah, I mean, I would say my role in this team's success is clearly identifying where they're trying to go, and my job is to take them from where they are now and to get them to that point. So that takes obviously sitting down, goal planning. If you don't have a business plan written out with your trainer or upline, it's never too late to start, because it's just like a GPS, right? If you don't know the address where you're going, and how the hell are you going to know how to get there? And how am I going to know how to tell you to get there? Like, you don't even know where you're going. So let your trainer, your upline, us be your GPS. But unlike, the GPS in your car or on your phone, when you make a left and we tell you to make a right, probably only going to tell you to turn around once or twice. We're not going to keep saying it until the thing runs out of battery. So I think the big thing is, our role, or my role, and you guys will see it. And if you don't already know me, you will, is to hold you accountable to your word. I think if all we did here was stay accountable to what we say we're going to do, everyone wins, and everyone wins big and easy, and there's no emotion. Problem is you make promises to yourself and you don't keep them. You think you can make promises to other people and you don't keep those too. But guys, we don't work for each other. We're just in business together.
Yep. Love it. All right. What marketing strategies have been most effective for growing your client base? So again, I'm going to armchair quarterback this a little bit because I haven't really seen clients for 8 years, except for the clients that I'm, from my clients year 1 and 2, which are up for renewal and I'm re-rolling. But like back then, it was very, honestly, it was very similar to the fast start training. So if you're not actively in there, you're making a big mistake. But for me, it was luncheons, staff meetings, givebacks, and referrals. And that was really pretty much all I did. The one big learning lesson and epiphany that we had, though, is when I came over, one of the big mistakes that me and a lot of my top guys made is we treated this business very transactionally. So it was like, how many luncheons can I run in a month? Right? Versus building quality relationships at the school. Because when we go through your average first round of luncheons, or just call it your first round of building relationships at a school, it's very surface level. And you're going to get the new teachers, and you're generally going to get most of the people that probably don't have all the money. Because the teachers that do have money, or the teachers that are getting ready to retire, those are the ones that are sitting through class, grading papers, doing homework, or doing other stuff. Those are the ones that maybe got a guy or feel like they already have things figured out. And so you're generally not going to meet them in the lunchroom. The only way you're going to meet them is through referrals, or just by consistently showing up on campus, right? Because as soon as like a vibe of a school sees you as the advisor and not just another salesperson that they've seen for 10 years circulate one after the other, that's when a lot of the magic happens, at least for me. And it took us honestly a couple of years to figure that out. And also sometimes it's just a matter of like personality. Like our first luncheon I ever ran at Lycan Elementary, we booked 14 appointments, thought we killed it. Nobody could do better. And no joke, the end of that school year, we had Molly Dennis, a new agent of ours, go in it. And we're like, she booked it on accident. We're like, dude, we already crushed that school. Like, don't worry about it. And she runs a luncheon and not only books more appointments, but gets more assets out of the same school. So there's a lot of really big learning lessons early on. But again, I think the biggest thing relative to marketing strategies to being more effective is to go deeper, not necessarily like wider.
Yeah, it's very so again, establishing a relationship with key people in the school, you got to be in the school to do that. So again, for all of you not making the money you want to make, if school is open, you should be in a school, literally all day. And then after school too, meeting with the spouse. But if you're in school all day and you use third-party credibility, meaning you use those relationships you've created to make it more of an assumptive approach that everyone on campus is expected to meet with you rather than you asking them to meet with you. So, hey, just popping in, Principal Smith wanted me to make sure I got your annual review on the calendar. What day works for you, this day or this day? And you've already built that relationship with Principal Smith, and you've already told them that, hey, you're going to make sure that you meet with everyone on campus. So if they talk to you about me, just make sure that they know they need to meet with me. Is that cool? Great. And then just adding in here, we're coming up, we're at the beginning of the year, but it's, we're coming up on the end of the school year here in a few months. Like retirement parties go a long way, right? Find out who's retiring this year. And the principal will tell you. And throw a retirement party or contribute to that retirement party, because typically the staff or the principal usually pays for that out of pocket. And guess what? People that are retiring usually know other people that are retiring. And then they'll typically be there when you get up to congratulate your client on their retirement. And guess what? They want a party too. So I would say, again, back to getting in front of people with money and going into the school, knowing that in order for you to get in front of everyone, you're going to have to make it very assumptive. And it needs to be that you get in front of at least 75% of the people at that school before you consider it worked. And guys, start up retirement accounts. There should be at least minimum, you should be writing 5 to 10 flow deals a week, because that shit adds up 5-10 years from now. And guess what? That accumulates. It's out of surrender. Now you got all these rollovers coming in along with all that residual income. It's not hard to talk. It's not hard to talk people into saving their own money, guys, and we get paid for it.
If y'all could see Edgar Duran, he's doing this because he's now 10 years into it. And I could almost guarantee you he's got at least a guaranteed 150 grand a year coming to him every year from the clients from year 1 and 2, right? So most of these annuity products are 8 to 10 year to 12-year surrender. So every single year after, call it 8-10 years, you got my client who I'm going to roll tomorrow, actually, Mary Linden, who had 120,000 when I met with her 10 years ago, who now has 200,000. And in addition to all those flow deals, right? Like, show you my commission statement. There's like 60,000 line items. Those things are important, but let's also like keep it really simple. Like, show me people that aren't motivated and interested in simply saving money for their retirement. Like that's all. It's literally all we're talking about. So it's awesome, awesome, awesome advice. Okay. What time is it? Okay. We might have time for a couple more. Might just carry this on maybe till no, next week's the national call. So we'll get through as many as we can get through. What habits or routines have contributed most to your personal and professional growth? For me, it was kind of like what I already talked about, self-leadership. The only way to build true confidence is by keeping the promises you make to yourself, and you got to feel good about yourself inside and out. And I'll say in the last 2.5 years, I've really taken that to heart, and I feel like I've grown and developed more in the last 2.5 years than I did in the prior 15 years. And there's a lot of reasons for that, which happy to have individually with people. But you have to invest in yourself. Some people think it's selfish too, right? And there's nothing selfish about it. I don't know any other way to build legitimate confidence and competence if you're not doing it and doing it well yourself. So, and the only other thing I'll add to habits and routines to that is like, for many years I had looked at it like, well, what else do I need to be doing? And I think one of the sneaky little secrets is oftentimes it's not about what else, but it's more about what do I need to cut out and what do I need to subtract from my life to add to it. And you can take that a variety of different ways, but as soon as I said that, I'm sure there's a few things that popped into people's head. Like Ben was drinking, right? He decided to be sober for the last 3 weeks. I could only imagine how much more productive he is on Monday, coming into Monday fresh versus maybe being a little hungover, right? And look at the compound effects of what's of things like that, right? So Monday, if I enjoy football games on a Sunday and I come into Monday and I'm a little hungover or tired because I didn't sleep or whatever, the alarm goes off. I hit snooze. I get out of bed 30 minutes too late. Instead of going for a walk or doing something, I'm trying to drink copious amounts of coffee just to feel better. And it's like, bam, within a couple hours, a person could wake up and already have like 3 or 4 losses before they even start their workday, and you don't even realize it. And those little things just add up and compound over time, over time, over time, and they show up in the form of anxiety, maybe even situational depression, whatever you want to call it. But I see that happening a lot. It's no one big thing. It's all the little things.
It would be simple. Control the morning, control the day. Win the morning, win the day. So if you're not accomplishing the things for yourself in the morning, don't plan on them happening. Right? Life happens, work happens, stress happens. So there's some great books out there. Again, always be reading. That's number one, right? So always be reading something. Some on, Morning Miracle is a great book to get started with this, or the 5 a.m. Club. Lists out just, your morning routine, and it's a non-negotiable that it gets done every morning. So for me, the 2 things that have impacted me the most is that every single day, literally, I work out in the morning, and during my time on the treadmill, which again, if you guys are doing somewhat of cardio or walks or whatever, I would consider changing up your cardio to just an incline walk where you have enough breath left that you can actually talk if someone calls you. But the main reason is because you can focus. Like if you're out running sprints, you can't really listen to a podcast or a book. If you're on an incline treadmill, you can knock out an hour of personal development, or 45 minutes or half hour every single day. And that's huge. And again, you're either chasing the day or the day is chasing you. So if you're up before the sunset or before the sun's up, well, then good, you're in good shape. But let's make sure that you get all the non-negotiables out of the way before the day happens. So I think we're at time here, though.
We are. Yeah. Awesome. Well, I hope that was helpful, everybody. As a reminder, so next week is the national call. So we won't be on this call. We'll be on the national call. For UVPs, we have the AVP call here in 2 hours. And then probably by the middle of this week, everybody just kind of keep your eyes and ears open on the various chat channels, because we're going to be kind of changing up the call schedules and making sure this Zoom link snafu doesn't happen again. So appreciate y'all. Have an awesome week. Let me know if you need any help. Talk to you guys.